All right. So that was the Kombat Kast, right? And quite a few things came to light. Obviously, we got the gameplay trailer of a man in a bedsheet with his 3 boyfriends that he decided to employ from the Black Dragon. Because nothing screams badass than a guy showing up in a bedsheet to one of the most notorious criminal organizations in the world and deciding to lower your dignity standards by putting on a bedsheet. Look at this fucking idiot crawling along the ground. Right? What's he looking for? Crabs? This is stab. 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 Oh, I haven't done that in like a hot minute. Stab. I better do it again. Stab. Stab. Better stab again. You know, it's hilarious. It's not really. It's kind of sad, actually. Right? They've actually given this character, like, so you can actually, like, swap between 2 other characters. Right? And I'm going to get into it in another video in greater depth. But suffice to say that the clever clogs over at NetherRealm thought it would be so cool that they dragged 2 actual old characters, being Kira and Cobra, and make them the alternates of this character, which I believe the main character is supposed to be Cabal, I think, right? But one of the most egregious things about this, right? Look at this idiot. I fucking can't stand horror shit. I just can't. I'm sorry, man. I don't care for horror stuff. I never have, right? And the reason why I watch the Kombat Kast is because, you know, I'm looking for other information that might actually start to put this game on the right track. Now, I watched it yesterday, you know, had the chat watching it and stuff, and no one was impressed, right? Anyone that gets off on this is just, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not into horror. I'm not into horror, right? It just feels a little bit too far, right? Despite the fact that we do have some fatalities in MK, at least in the older days, they weren't getting to the details or levels that we get now, where it does feel like we're watching horror, right? And then I saw Lamb Chops on Twitter going, "Oh, this is so meta. This is so meta." You know, because Cage is playing the game, and then another Ghostface. Right. Anyway, there are going to be some other changes as well. It is true there is no more invasions. Right. They're just now recycling, but to try and coax people into playing that dog shit again, right? They're putting, like, I think some extra skins in it. And they'll probably force us to have to play through the entire maces again just to do that stuff, because this is Netherworld after all, right? If you're not playing the game in a communist fashion, then what's the point, right? But I did a video not too long ago showcasing Terradrome, right? And Terradrome did it better. I'm sorry. Despite the age of the game, and the fact that it was a fan-made game, it was definitely done better, right? And they have definitely nicked moves, as I showed in that video, from this game as well, right? So yes, as I said, you can have, they're brief stints, where you can swap to one of the other 2 variations, be it Enforcer or Assassin. By the way, that's Rambo's move. Right? That's the other thing that the chat was pointing out yesterday, because I gave 2 fucks about MK11 and even less for this. But when we were watching it, everyone instantly, as soon as they started seeing his gameplay, they're like, Rambo, 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 bit of Kano, Rambo, 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 right? So I loaded up MK11 on the stream and had a look. Boy, I love reusing assets, hey, NetherRealm. You know, multi-million-dollar developer, multi-billion-dollar company. And they just reuse assets. Right? Just like they did with Lee Mays. I think it's Lee Mays' flip double front kick, right? That was Aaron Black's. Another useless character, right? So, I'm sure all the horror fans out there, all 5 of them that are looking forward to this, will buy it. But it doesn't fit. It looks ridiculous, just like all the other guest characters do in previous MK games. Right? They are put in there at the behest of Warner Brothers to pimp crap. There we go, there's the cannonball roll. That's, by the way, that's Kira, apparently. Right, we're going to do a whole other video about that. Because she's got no titties. You know, because you know what NetherRealm's like, they're afraid of boobs, right? And I don't know what happened to Derek in the Kombat Kast yesterday. I think he got eaten. Something happened to him. He wasn't there, right? Maybe he voted for Trump and got, you know, fired from the company. Anyway, but this is just like, this is what I mean. Like, this is how simple like some of these NRS fans are. They're like, oh my god, this is amazing. Oh my god, this is great. I want to main this character. It's so good. Right? Like, it's just, no one gives a shit, right? I don't like this, like, again, like, I'm playing Mortal Kombat. Like, if this was a horror fighting game, I would feel more comfortable with this sort of stuff, right? But I don't like horror, never have. I can play horror games, but I don't care for horror films, right? But Mortal Kombat is not a horror game, right? It is not a torture game. It is just a fighting game, and one of the, you know, gimmicks of it was the fatalities, right? I always thought, personally anyway, the strength of Mortal Kombat came in its character design and of course its storytelling, right? But now we got this absolute idiot. There's 3 of them, right? And it's just, this is you know what, this is what's gonna happen. Like, you know, and I think I've mentioned this sort of briefly before. It seems like these DLC characters are almost getting to a point of pay to win, right? Because it's going to be really interesting when they run tournaments, you know, upcoming tournaments, you know, after he releases, whether he's going to be up there or not. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. It just looks dull, and it's still stuck in the engine and this game, right? They need to do a complete revamp of the animation engine for this game, right? Compared to other fighting games, this is like watching 2 robots from the 1960s have sex, right? Janky, creaky, and rusty. It's awful, right? But we got news on Invasions. They also did briefly show, which I'll do another video on because I want to talk about that at length, is that they showcased MK2 Katana, but they didn't say anything about it. They literally, this is how I know that they don't actually know what's being shown, right? They've got their notes because they can't conceive of even doing anything without needing, like, teleprompter help, right? Considering they've been doing this for so long. You know they didn't watch the content because they play the clip, right? And it's got Katana, right? I'll actually show it to you, just briefly, right? So, they've got, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, no one cares, right? See, I told you Derek got eaten. Oh, and that's the other thing too, right? They added in this other useless, like, so basically copying Tekken, right, with the whole replay feature. So if you've done, you know, a game, you know, and you're like, oh, well, how could I do that better? I lost. Then you can come in and you can do exactly what you can with Tekken, which is you can pause it and then go from there, you know, figure out better ways. Because all 5 people that are still playing this game, you know, they can go own each other. Like, they can own, and she literally said this, I think, own the chuds. Own the chuds. Not to mention they do more useless, like, nitpicky updates. Oh, Smake can do this, the Sub-Zero. No one gives a fuck, man. Do you really think those little things are gonna, like, somehow retain the player base? Hang on, I'm trying to find the clip. That's not it there. No one gives a shit. Here we go. Right? So they actually showcased Katana, right, in her MK2 outfit. Right? It comes back to these 2 dudes, and they don't mention it at all. Not even a hint. Nothing. Nothing, bro. Remember when they showcased? I think when they showcased the Sub-Zero one, right? Because we all knew the Scorpion one was coming, but when they showed the Mortal Kombat movie 1995 Sub-Zero, from memory they mentioned it. They didn't mention this, and I instantly thought these people they're not even seeing the footage that's being shown. They probably had notes saying, "Oh, this is what's happened," and then they show the clip and they go, "Oh, that's really moving on the next part." So, you know, now we've got repeating invasions where they bake in shit, which will probably force people to play through all that crap again, right? We've got one of the worst DLC characters added to the game, and that was hard to top considering the first three. No mention of this skin. No mention of a 1v1, right? And you know Conan is going to play exactly like Kotal. Right? Because when people, like I said, were watching the gameplay, like I never used the guest characters in MK11, at least not to any great extent because it's a dog shit game. But everyone was sitting there going, "Oh wow, this is just Rambo," right? You know, with extra stabbies. And not to mention the fact that when I was watching, Outworld sent me a video and I played it on stream. It was Jason, and comparing him to Terminator. Right, so Jason was in MK10, Terminator, Arnie was in MK11 as guest characters. And side by side, when you're playing these videos, it was a literal one-to-one copy and paste. That's how devoid of actual, like, not just integrity, but developer nuance. Like, that's how lazy they are. Right? This was the highlight. This was absolutely the highlight of the entire thing. Right? Again, as I've mentioned many times, I don't care for horror movies. I don't care for horror characters. Now, if you made a horror fighting game, I'd play it. Just like with Terradrome and the sequel. Because that has its own theme. The theme is horror. Right? I like horror games. And I play a horror fighting game. Right? I just don't care for the movies. Right? So let me know what you guys think. Are you excited? I know all 5 people are. Catch you next time.